Bob Riley with HIGHLIFE Magazine, HIGHLIFE Studio, here with Marina Mikkelsen. Hi, how are you?
Doing well, thanks. How are you, Bob?
Doing good. Let's just jump right into it. Tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you went to school, and are you a Florida native?
I'm not a Florida native. I'm a California native. I was born and raised in San Luis Obispo, California. I went to Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo. I actually got a degree in psychology. And I moved here to Florida just about a year ago to work for ALTMED as their cultivation specialist.
Well, how long have you been in the cannabis industry as a grower?
I've been growing for 8 years now, commercially. I got my start in California. I actually got started trimming, and the company I was working for lost their grower in the time that I had only been there for a couple weeks. And they were sort of scrambling to find somebody to take over, and I just volunteered myself. I said, I've always been interested in plants, let me see what I can do, and I worked for that company for about 4.5 years after that.
You said you're a second generation grower too.
I am, yeah. My mother was a grower. She grew cannabis on the Big Island of Hawaii in the 1970s. And so growing up in California, we always had a couple of plants in the backyard, so I think I was about 9 years old when my mother first showed me how to determine the gender of a seedling. So she was showing me how to identify males and females, and for me, cannabis has just always been a part of my life. It's never been looked or frowned upon. My family always supported me with this. My family has a history with growing cannabis, so they were always very supportive. They're so excited to see what I'm doing here now.
When did you start beginning to work in cannabis, and why did you go into the cannabis field?
It was definitely on accident, actually. I had been living in Australia, and then I was traveling around Asia, and I came home to California anticipating to be there for about 3-4 months. I just wanted to save up some money and go travel to India. And I took a job trimming, and like I said, that led to 4.5 years at that job. So I never made it to India, but it led me to be here where I am now in Florida. So I think I made the right choice.
I think you did too, actually. From some of the flower I've seen, and you're amazing.
Thank you.
How has working in the cannabis industry changed your perspective on marijuana and/or hemp?
It has been incredible to see what cannabis can do for people who are truly sick. I mean, the medical component of cannabis, it's been amazing to see how it's changed people's lives. I notice a lot of our patients are elderly patients. They're patients who are using this for true medicine. And I myself have had times where I used cannabis and then times where I didn't. And actually, when I began growing, I wasn't using cannabis at that time, but I have scoliosis and I have really bad back pain. And so growing is a hard job. My back was killing me. So I started with CBD, and it was incredible. I definitely can attest that CBD works, at least it worked for me, it helped my scoliosis a lot. And from there, I began using THC as well. That also is great for pain. I've also, like so many people, struggled with anxiety in my life, and cannabis can do so much more for me than any pharmaceutical drugs have been able to do.
Wow, it's a great testament.
Yeah, I definitely believe in it.
For sure. The cannabis industry is dominated by men. How has that affected you in what you do, and how has it limited your ability to be able to do what you do? Has you being a woman given you the ability to approach cannabis from a different perspective?
It's interesting. I think that being a female in this industry, the main way it benefited me for a long time was that people didn't actually believe that I was growing cannabis. It was a great thing for me when I was working on the black market. People don't look at me and assume, oh, this girl is out doing that.
Right.
During the time where it was illegal, being able to kind of fly under the radar was huge. So just being a woman, I remember being at Home Depot and buying like 55-gallon buckets with screw top, sealed lids. I had like 2 carts just stacked, and all of these people are looking at me like, I had all these people stopping me. What are you doing? What are you buying? And nobody would assume that, oh, I'm using this to go store 100 pounds of cannabis. They just see this young girl and think, oh, she's not up to anything. So it definitely benefited me just on the black market for being inconspicuous. But I think women in this industry, it's definitely a male-dominated industry, so I'm not sure that it really helps so much to be a female, but I know that representation of women in this industry is really important, and women, we need to have a well-rounded, group of not just, all men doing this. I add a different perspective. I have different, women tend to be more nurturing, kind of more detail-oriented. So having a team that's balanced is incredibly important.
Right. What's your current job title?
I am the Senior Cultivation Specialist. So I work directly with Mitch Tipton, our Director of Cultivation. He and I work on every aspect of what goes on in the grow. Basically, I'm here to help him out because we're getting so large at this point that we need more eyes, more people who know what they're doing to just oversee everything, especially as we continue to expand.
Well, you guys went through a huge expansion just recently.
Yeah, we sure have.
How much space have you guys added in cultivation?
I think this last expansion was 70,000 additional. We'll be at 200,000 square feet of canopy by the end of the year.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Women tend to make most of the healthcare decisions in a home, yet we keep marketing to men. I call it the manibus syndrome. In your opinion, what does the cannabis industry need to do to better market cannabis to women?
I think one of the things that the cannabis industry needs to do to benefit women is to stop using women as props. So often, you only see women in grow magazines or in Instagram, and they're just hanging out in a bikini in the garden posing for pictures, and it just completely delegitimizes women in cannabis. It makes it seem like we're just used as props, that we don't actually have a role in the garden. So I think that just doing things like this and showing that there are women who work in this industry, and it's not all men, I think that will definitely help to, increase this amongst women.
All right, any advice you would give a woman looking to get into the cannabis industry or an ancillary cannabis service?
My advice is always, just to get your foot in the door any way you can. For me, I started as a trimmer. I never thought that it would lead to this. And by getting your foot in the door and just working hard, proving yourself, that's the best advice that I have for anyone, is just to not get discouraged by, the amount of men who are in the industry and the amount of men who, can sometimes create hostile work environments or make women feel like they're below. I'm not saying that this is anything that happens here, but years of working for multiple different companies, I've definitely been intimidated at times because it feels like as a female, you're just thought of as a trimmer. You're just thought of as kind of, you're not really important in this industry. So I just always urge women to just prove themselves, work hard and don't let it get to you. Don't get discouraged by that. And these days, especially with big companies like ALTMED here, we're so open to women. It blew me away.
I saw how many women were working here.
Yeah, we have a huge amount of women on our staff. And it's not just trimming or harvesting, we have women in all aspects of cultivation here. We have female supervisors. I remember when I came here last year for my interview, I was blown away that I sat at a table with, the marketing team, and it was almost all women. I mean, there was more women that were at the table than there were men, and that is a really unique thing to see in this industry. Nice.
And is there anything else you'd like to share with the High Life audience that you think we should know about you or ALTMED?
I just want to share with everyone, how excited I am to be here in Florida. I have just absolutely fallen in love with Florida. It's a beautiful state. I love the beaches. I actually like the weather. you know, I've had so much fun just getting to know Florida, and on top of it, being here in this huge industry, you know, being a part of the Florida medical cannabis, it blows my mind. I literally pinch myself every day and say, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I get to work in this place. It's a dream come true. You know, this is never in my wildest dreams would I imagine working a place like this. I mean, 8 years ago, getting started in cannabis, nothing like this existed. I would never have believed it would. So it is just a wonderful experience to be here. I'm so happy. You know, I love thinking about where the product is going to end up. You know, thinking about the patient who's going to get home and who's going to use this, and that makes me so excited to think that there's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of patients who can have access to, you know, strains that I pheno-hunted and that I cloned myself and that, you know, I had a part in. That just makes me feel so excited.
Well, I really want to thank you for your time today, Marina Mikkelsen. Again, this is Bob Riley with HIGHLIFE Magazine, HIGHLIFE Studio. Have a great day.
Thank you.